Hello, kia ora. I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Thursday update for January the 26th. And we're forecasting a squash zone for the next 7 days ahead. We're expecting this setup to basically remain. We're going to see high pressure out around the Chatham Islands, low pressure up around the north of the country, and in between the two, a windy north to northeasterly flow that covers much of the country, but especially the North Island for the next 3 or 4 days. There's also a cold front just coming out of the Southern Ocean. That's going to bring a bit of a temperature drop for Friday after a fairly hot day today in the South Island with the north to northwesterlies ahead of it. But tomorrow the temperatures tumble by about 10 degrees for your daytime highs around places like Gore down there in Southland. So let's take a look and see what's going on with the thunderstorms at the moment. We've got a few areas of them. This one here is in that squash zone between the low and the high, out at sea where the heaviest rain is. We've also got a few thunderstorms down here. That's the colder change that's moving through. We're not really expecting too much in the way of thunder in the New Zealand or Tasmania areas. It's mostly at sea, but just shows you there's a bit of a temperature drop happening there. The rest of the thunderstorms in the usual places up in the tropics, but no storms up there outside of the thunderstorms, no low pressure zones that are deep and concerning, not at this stage anyway. Let's have a look at that rainfall. So that low, while it's not very big and stormy, it is interacting with that high. So that will slow down the rain, and it's dragging down rain from up in the tropics. So we're going to see some bigger rainfall totals over the next few days in these northern areas and sort of northwestern areas. So the rainfall totals you see here in the blue is surrounded by the pink shading. So that's taking up from around about 50 millimetres to 100 millimetres. And there may be some bigger totals through the Kaimai ranges, the Mamuku ranges, the Coromandel ranges, and even some of the hills and ranges around Northland. It's just worth keeping an eye on. And if you're going away camping or tramping, think of slips and streams wherever you are. Just be aware of that if you're still going away. Now the South Island, much drier really, fairly dry weather, about 5 to 10 millimetres in that yellow shading. Most of the rain falling in the ranges over in Westland, but not much further north. Greymouth, Westport, pretty much dry. This is a 2-day rainfall map. Should have said that at the start. 2-day rainfall map from 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, Friday morning. So this is taking you across Friday and Saturday and into Sunday morning. Let's have a look then at the forecast. So here we are, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, New Zealand time on Friday. So there is the low, 1004. It's deep enough to be noticeable. And then over here, 1029, 1030 hectopascals. That's the big high pushing back. So the squash zone halfway between pretty much, or roughly, maybe a little bit more towards the low pressure zone on this one. And you're seeing some windy wet weather, especially in this area here. So that's Coromandel Peninsula, parts of Auckland, maybe Northland for a time in the morning. And it's slowly sliding down towards Bay of Plenty. There is also that cold front on Friday coming into the south and a few showers here around Sydney, nothing too major. As we go through into the weekend, so Saturday over in Australia, a few showers in Brisbane, that's really about it. Not much going on for those populated centres on the eastern side. But in New Zealand on Saturday, windy and wet from basically Coromandel into Bay of Plenty. It's that area there now that is getting the worst of the weather. And further north, low pressure coming in means that the sun may come out, the winds might ease back a bit. There's also the chance, though, of an afternoon downpour or thunderstorm as a result of the instability in the atmosphere. Bit of rain also coming in around Hawke's Bay and Waited Upper. It won't be much, though, not compared to what you've been having. And it's mostly settled here in the South Island. So on Sunday, there's a bit of a change. On Sunday, the high pressure zone kind of drops down a wee bit more south of the Chatham Islands. And that movement kind of pushes some of that stuff back. At the same time, the low here weakens even more. It falls apart pretty much. So that means the winds won't be as strong. They might pick up a little bit again in Northland, but not really as bad as it was. And the rain is not as bad. There could be long dry spells into the afternoon as that wet weather sort of pushes over the land and more out into the Tasman Sea. Pretty much drier air coming in behind it, but there could be a few thunderstorms and downpours inland into the afternoon. So that is how we go through to Sunday. Now let's go into next week, because Monday, Auckland Anniversary Day, which we have to include Nelson in. I forgot to do that. So Nelson's also got the day off. Look at that. It's a great day on Monday for the Nelson area. Maybe a downpour up in the Nelson Ranges. And the nor'easters ease back across the top of the North Island. They're still a little bit breezy. It'll be a bit annoying for you. I think annoying is a good word if you're going away camping. It's just a little bit annoying rather than, really problematic, at least at the end of the weekend. And we've got a few showers around Northland, but most of that rain out at sea. And we've got a little bit of rain here around Sydney and also further up towards Cairns. So let's go through next week. Tuesday, the winds pick up again. That high, the placement of it, drifting back towards the North Island, and lower pressure out here means that that nor'east flow is going to be brisk, and maybe gale force in some areas as well. So we're not finished with it yet, and that warm airflow goes all the way down the country, so it's mild. Now in Aussie, we've got a few showers. Most of these are sort of thunderstorms coming up into the afternoon. A similar story out here over central parts of Australia as well. And then our final map for the middle of next week, we still have that windy weather, and the high is still out near the Chathams, but it is slowly starting to move eastwards now, and hopefully by sort of Thursday, Friday next week, this whole system falls apart and moves through, and then here's the next big high coming in from Australia. But it might be a little bit unsettled in between the high that's leaving and the next one that's arriving. But that is the forecast. Expect the same. It's a bit of the Groundhog Day. You know, the wake up and it's the same kind of setup all over again. But hopefully you can still go away for the weekend. Just be aware of when that wind and rain will peak, and you can do that on our websites, both weatherwatch.co.nz and ruralweather.co.nz, and of course also our free app, which is getting a big upgrade at some point this year. That is all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow, Friday, with our next update.